Hello, 7th grade students. We are continuing to work on Chapter 1 today. This is Lesson 1-5, Adding Integers. Our objective is to learn how to add integers today. It sounds like a simple task. We're going to go back and do it a little bit more. It should be a pretty quick lesson for the day as well. Our essential question is, how do you add a positive and a negative number together? Okay. Again, I have our vocab here of integers. We're just going to rephrase this a little bit differently today. Integers are a set of whole numbers and that are both positive and negative. We're just going to put positive and negative. Remember, our whole numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We do not have any decimals or fractions involved with whole numbers. We can also have whole numbers be -9, 8, -8, all the way up through each whole number integer, okay? So our integers are also listed on this number line right here. To add a positive number, we need to move to the right on a number line. So I'm ever going and adding a positive number. If I'm adding a positive number to 0 and I'm adding 5 to 0, I'm going over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 0 plus 5 is 5. If I'm going to add a negative number, you need to move to the left on a number line. So if I'm going from 0 and I'm adding -1, I'm going over to -1. So 0 plus -1 is always going to be -1. I'm moving to the left of my number line. Number lines are very important. If you are using them in the correct way, they're going to be a very helpful tool for you. We're going to complete the table below, and we're going to give 2 examples for each as well. If the signs are the same, we need to find the sum of the absolute values and use the same sign. The absolute values. We're going to use the same sign. So an example of this would be, is if I have 3 plus 2, I know that 3, the absolute value of 3 and the absolute value of 2 is still 3 and 2, so I can know that they are 5. If I have -3 plus -2, I know that those are both negative, so I can keep my negative sign and put it at the end. I know -3 and -2 are both 3 and 2. I'm still going to end up with -5. Okay. If the signs are different, we need to find the difference between the two. And then we need to use the sign of the integer that's larger. An example of this is 7 plus -5. 7 is larger than -5, so it's going to be a positive, so I don't have to worry about putting a negative sign there. 7 and 5, the difference between the two is 2. Now if I have the opposite here, if I have -7 plus 5, I know that -7 is a larger integer than 5, so therefore I'm going to have a negative at the end. If I'm going to have that, my difference is still 2 between the numbers, if the 2 absolute values. So I know that it's going to be a -2. A couple more examples that we have here for the day. I have 1 plus a -2. If I know that the signs are different, I can find the absolute values of each. I know that I'm going to have a larger number of -2, so my number is going to be negative. 1 and 2, the difference between those two is 1. So I know that there's a space between 1, so my answer is going to be -1. Also, if you are doing that, you can also go from, I know that I'm at 1, and I'm adding -2 here. So if I'm adding -2, I'm moving to the left. So let's try that. Left, I'm moving left, 1 space, 2 space, I end up with -1, which is the same answer we got here. So that's how you can use the number line to be helpful as well. Let's go to B. I have -8 plus 5. Again, I have two different signs, so we're going to use this method over here. I can find the absolute value of -8 and the absolute value of 5. I know that that's going to be 8 and 5. The difference between the two is 3. I'm going to use my larger sign here, which is a negative. If you want to look at it in this way also, we are starting at -8. So we're going to find -8, and we're going to move, since we're adding a positive, we're moving to the right on the number line. So if I'm moving from -8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I end up with -3, which is the answer that we have here, -3. Moving down into number C, or letter C, I should say. I have two signs that are the same, so I can keep the same sign that I have right away here, which is a negative. I know that 2 and 4 is going to give me 6 because their absolute values are 2 and 4, so I have -6. Some of your problems today in your practice are going to involve a variable. It's just going to ask you to plug in a number. So in this situation, I have n plus 15. And what they want me to use for n is -11 here. So I'm going to rewrite this. I have -11 plus 15. I have two different signs here. My larger integer, the larger number, is 15. So I'm going to end up with a positive number here. I know that the absolute value of 11 is 11, and the absolute value of 15 is 15. 15, take away 11, or finding the difference, is giving me 4. I know it's going to be positive because my larger integer is positive. So my answer will be 4. If you want to see this on the calculator, I can show you this way as well. We're not going to be using calculators today. But if I have 11, that's negative, and I'm adding 15, I end up with 4. Make sure that you're filling in the summary, as this is part of your notes that you need to complete on your own. In your own words, explain how to add a positive and a negative number together. So again, if it's positive and a negative, that's two different signs. So make sure you're using your own words in this section. What needs to be done today is the 1-5 practice, which should be on the next page of your packet. Make sure you fill in this number line. Okay, that'll be a helpful tool for you when you're completing these down below here. Make sure you show your work as well on these that you can. You have 12 problems there. And then we have 1, 2, 3 problems here. And a word problem that's going to be a little bit more challenging, but I think is very capable of you being able to complete. If you have any questions or concerns, please join back on the Google Meets or send me an email and I can help you guys out as quickly as possible. Thank you.